Clinical research is evolving really fast, and with the new ICH GCP E6R3 update, one thing is very clear: quality can no longer be an afterthought. It has taken the center stage. In today's video, we are diving into risk based quality management, the smarter, more proactive approach to planning, execution, and monitoring clinical trials. Whether you're a CRA, CRC, data manager, or a student entering in this field, understanding RBQM is very important. Stay with me as we break down what's changed, why it matters, and how RBQM is shaping the trials to be safer, faster, and more efficient than ever before. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and let's get started. First of all, let us understand what exactly is RBQM. So, RBQM stands for Risk Based Quality Management. It is a proactive, comprehensive, and systematic approach which is very helpful in managing the quality throughout the entire life cycle of the clinical trial. Okay, so whenever we designed a particular clinical trial, we had certain checks and balances, and once those trials were completed, then we came to know what were the inherent flaws and what were the challenges. But when it comes to this E6R3 update or this E6R3 amendment which was recently released, there they had a provision where the quality was of the center stage. Okay, so the quality was made so important that they had to introduce a parameter called as risk based quality monitoring, which means that you can proactively implement certain methods, certain measurements, so that you can comprehensively and systematically arrange a trial framework or a trial design which can monitor the quality of the trial through the entire process of the trial. Okay, we need not wait to the trial to be ended, but during the course of the trial, if you find any kind of quality parameters which is hampering the conduct of the clinical trial, okay, any kind of risk you identified, that can be tackled through RBQM method. Now, this particular RBQM method, it represents a major change or a major evolution how clinical trials are designed, conducted, and overseen, because the quality is not only in terms of conduct of the clinical trial, but we are also focusing on the initial design itself. Whenever you comprehend a clinical trial or whenever you have a trial design, there you need to add this particular risk based quality measures, so that the trial when it is conducted or during the conduct of the trial where it is overseen, the focus should be on maintaining quality. And that is why this E6R3 update has shifted the focus from simply checking how the trial is going on to strategically managing the most critical aspect or the risk of the clinical trial. Okay, so we need not wait for any disaster to happen. We can predict the risk element, the critical to quality factors, and based on that, we can update the clinical trial design. Are you from pharma, biotech, or life sciences and still struggling to enter clinical research industry? You are not alone. Thousands of graduates miss high-paying roles not because they lack talent, but because they lack the right skill set. Imagine fast-tracking your career into one of the highest growth, highest demand global industry with the certification that are trusted by thousands of learners across the world. First, we have Advanced Certification in Clinical Research (CDM) and PV, your all-in-one gateway to the top three domains of the industry, followed by Advanced Certification in Clinical Data Management, where you master CRFs, DMPs, and clinical data basics and become job ready for CDM role. Next, we have Advanced Certification in Pharmacovigilance and Drug Safety, where you break into PV, understand real world case processing, and safety reporting skills. Next, we have Advanced Clinical Research Associate Training Program, where you become site ready and industry ready and become the CRAs that the companies want. Followed by Cancer Clinical Research and Oncology Trials, where you enter into the most advanced and impactful field of oncology research. And last but not the least, Clinical Research Career Guide, where you crack the interviews, build your perfect CV, and land your first dream job. The future belongs to the skilled professionals, and if you're ready to transform your career, this is your moment. Click on the links given in the description and explore the amazing programs and start your journey into clinical research today. And that is why this particular E6R3 amendment has placed the risk-based quality management, that is RBQM, at the center of these guidelines of good clinical practices. Okay, so as you know, E6 guidelines are for the clinical trial conduct, and with the latest amendment, this particular RBQM guideline has taken the prominence. Now, this particular approach or this particular new approach has essentially shifted the focus and put the process of the clinical trial design at the center stage. Okay, so whenever it comes to RBQM model, it is a process driven model, a checklist based approach as it was the earlier, but that has been taken forward towards a proportionate, flexible and focus based approach to critical to quality factor. Okay, which means that earlier you designed a process, you had a checklist, and based on that you designed a trial. But now, since the RBQM model and the quality elements are taken into consideration, the particular clinical trial design or the approach in quality management has been proportionate in terms of the risk that it has. The model has been flexible so that you can approach the risk in advance, as well as it focuses on critical to quality or CTQ factors. Okay, now critical to quality is another important term which was brought into prominence by E6R3 update, which clearly means that whatever parameters are critical to maintaining the quality of the trial, those particular parameters are called as CTQ factors. Okay, so whenever we talk about RBQM model, we have to understand that it not only focuses on the proactive approach or a systematic approach, but it also has a major weightage on the CTQ factors, which has to be taken into consideration to maintain the quality of the trial, not only through the entire life cycle, but at each and every stage of the trial conduct. Now let us understand what exactly is this RBQM process life cycle. Okay, how does this particular RBQM process is conducted? Okay, so there are five major steps in this RBQM process life cycle. We will look at one by one. So first and foremost is risk identification. So here you identify which are the critical to quality factors. Whenever I have a particular protocol, we will analyze that protocol and identify which particular factors are critical to maintaining the quality of the factors, okay, of the trial. So once you have identified the CTQs, then you move on towards risk evaluation. In risk evaluation, we assess the likelihood of an impact of any risk on the clinical trial. Okay, so that is the evaluation of a risk, followed by risk control, where once we have assessed or evaluated a risk, we develop and implement the mitigation strategy to contain that particular risk. Okay, and next thing would be communication. So now we have identified, evaluated and controlled the risk factors. Now we will communicate this particular risk factor so that we can ensure that transparency is maintained and real-time reporting is done through the trial life cycle. Okay, so not only we are mitigating the risk, we are also communicating it to critical stakeholders so that they know what exactly is going on in a clinical trial. And last but not the least, the risk review. In risk review process, what we essentially do is we continuously monitor and adapt risk strategy. Okay, we do not stop at mitigating a single risk, but the risk management is a continuous process where you continuously monitor and adapt the clinical trial design or the protocol based on the risk strategies. Okay, so if you focus on this particular RBQM process or life cycle, you would understand that it is a very proactive approach where you identify all the major areas and you apply the mitigation strategies and you communicate it to all of the stakeholders while having the adaptive trial design so that it mitigates a lot of the risk and eliminates the challenges which can have a major impact on the trial quality. Now coming on to key aspect of this particular RBQM in terms of E6R3 amendment. Okay, so E6R3 amendment is one of the significant update where the focus has shifted towards quality and a lot of new concepts, techniques and measures were introduced so that we can move towards a clinical trial where the safeguards, the checklist, okay, the quality factors were introduced, and we can now ensure that the trial we conduct by following this particular amendment, whenever we have implemented, it can give us reproducible results which are essential to quality conduct of the clinical trial. And the first aspect of this particular RBQM is that the E6R3 amendment clearly states that quality should be built in. Okay, the quality should be baked into the scientific and operational design of the clinical trial by proactively design the quality parameters. Okay, so whenever you design a particular study protocol or a process of the clinical trial, so right from the start you have to ensure that you incorporate the quality parameters, which is called as quality by design principle. Okay, so whenever you design a particular clinical trial, you have to ensure that you are inherently adding the quality parameters to the trial itself, so that the quality is not only measured or hampered in the process or conduct of the clinical trial, but at the design stage itself you think about the quality parameters. The second aspect was the risk control activities. Okay, so the risk control activity must be proportionate to the importance of the risk to the trial participant. Okay, so whatever risk we identify during the trial, that risk should be fit for purpose, which means that our approach should be to minimize the unnecessary burden on the trial participant. Okay, so as even if you see the 13th principle of ICGCP, there even it says in the first principle that risk should be proportionate so that it does not hamper the right, safety and well-being of the trial participant. And same quality approach has been there in E6R3 amendment, where it talks that the risk should be controlled so that the participant which are exposed to the risk has a fit for purpose approach where they have minimized the unnecessary burden of the trial participation. Last but not the least, the E6R3 amendment also explicitly support the modern approach to a clinical trial monitoring. Okay, there you have major concepts such as centralized and remote monitoring, where we move from 100% SDV SDR model. Okay, so you do not need to do 100% SDV SDR, but essentially you apply the RBQM model, you identify the risk, and you use proactive approaches such as centralized and remote monitoring, so that before even you go to the trial site or the trial monitoring, you perform certain real-time quality management techniques such as centralized monitoring and even remote monitoring, so that whatever the trial data has any issues or flaws, that can be corrected and that can be updated. Okay, we do not need to wait for the monitor to go to the site and perform 100% SDV SDR. Okay, from the continuous process itself we will tackle that. Okay, so that is about risk based quality management approach in terms of E6R3 amendment. So thank you for watching this video till the end. Please make sure that you subscribe to the channel so that we can bring you such amazing content. Thank you.